Thank you for double-clicking your mouse tonight. You're listening to the Midnight FrightCast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Midnight FrightCast, episode number 45. Did I blow out your ears? I'm glad I did. I hope to see blood because this is one of the last casts of the year, except for the one that we do on the 30th, which I just remembered at this point. I am your host for the evening, Greg, the freaking movie guy, Doctor of Filmonomics, back in the studio from phoning it in last week. I really am getting sick of phoning it in. I kind of want to be down here.
Well, we'd much rather have you here.
Right.
Yeah. It's an easier discussion that way.
Me too, Greg. I'm sick of you phoning it in too. See how low I can get my voice.
Oh, yeah.
Greg the movie guy.
That was my Don LaFontaine / Brandy the Macho Man Savage. Welcome to the Midnight FrightCast, brother.
That was funny.
On my left, I have Patrick, the doctor of everything else.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
In front of me, I have Joshua, Mr. Joshua, the doctor who hasn't been titled yet.
I'm present.
The present doctor.
And accounted for.
And sad but true, the balls are here, but the brains are missing. Maddy is not with us this evening.
She is not. She is not feeling well. She said she may try to jump onto the live cast and type things, but she basically doesn't have a voice.
Oh, that would be difficult for a podcast.
Yeah. I mean, she could nod, and then we just tell her. She could write things down, and we could announce it.
We would be scribing for Maddy. So we miss you, Maddy. It's going to be interesting going back to our old format where it's just the three of us.
We've already decided that this cast is pretty much just going to fucking suck. And when Maddy comes back, we'll fix it later.
Well, we'll find out how to make it better. We'll fix it in post.
Well, I think we got to say, starting off, we really had to change gears here.
Yeah.
At the last minute, because what we were going to do is not what we're doing tonight, because we really wanted her input on everything else. So,
right.
So we're actually, we chose a movie that we had all seen before. Yeah, we had to kind of...
It was a last-minute scramble to
really was.
Get everything together. So we're hoping for 2019. That's me knocking on wood.
Wow.
I probably just blew out the mics. I apologize. That we're hoping for 2019 that organization is one of our New Year's resolutions. At least that's one of my hopes.
It usually is for January, and then come February.
And then everything just gets flushed down the toilet. So I'm going to hold us to that organization in 2019. All right, our first topic for the evening, we just watched a trailer, a very intriguing trailer by my stands. I just got turned down a little bit, and I apologize.
No, that's all right. You were kind of blinking in the red. So
I apologize. I'm a little excited because I'm down here, and I get to do the things that I love with the guys that I love in
and when you put it that way, I get excited too.
Let's get excited then. We watched a trailer called for the movie called Escape Room. What did you guys think of the movie Escape Room?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start. Yeah, I dug the trailer. That was the second time I had seen it. I saw it at a movie that I went to earlier in the week. I dug it. I don't know if I'm going to go see that in the theater or if that's a wait till it drops VOD. I haven't decided yet if that's one that whether I spend, my $5 in the theater, $5 at home, it doesn't really make a difference. But the fuck?
How bad?
I can hear myself.
I know, isn't that cool?
That was weird.
You're wearing these things called headphones.
I dug it a lot. I really liked the music in the trailer. I thought that was really a lot of fun. I've never been to an escape room, so I can't imagine they work like that. But I don't really know 100% how they really work anyway, because I've never experienced an escape room.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, the experience is, I'm going to say, similar. You have to figure out all these different clues, put them together, and one leads to the other, and eventually it gets you out of the room. You have about an hour to do it.
Gotcha.
So this one takes it to the
extreme,
the major extreme on it. I have to say that I, too, enjoyed the music that was used for it because it really played countersuit to what was going on.
Sure.
It's like this really cheesy, the song was Little Boxes.
Okay, cool.
Sorry,
Well,
it
wasn't Tiny Tim.
Completely different person.
Still creepy.
That was the intro song for Weeds, if any of you had seen that series on HBO or Showtime.
The little boxes one or okay.
Yeah. I like that it was being used there for that. Some of the CGI that I was looking at was questionable.
Yeah.
But overall, to me, this looks like a very intriguing movie. I'd like to see how they do it because the three of us have talked about doing an escape room type film before.
Yeah.
There's 2 movies that came out in 2017 by the same name. One that I had seen for our 30 Days of Horror, which I wasn't too thrilled with.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see the other one that came out in 2017. And I also agree with you, Josh, that this would be a Tuesday night, early bird Sunday morning, Saturday morning, or when it drops on VOD.
And not because it looks bad, because it doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look like...
It's not something that you'd rush to the theater to see.
I'm not going to chase it.
That's fair.
So, yeah.
I think I'm going to take a little bit different perspective on it because I feel like the escape room has needed to be made into some sort of a horror, or at least be the theme of a horror movie. And I never saw the 2017 versions. I kind of want to go and check out and see how they work, but given how Patrick's stating that they weren't great, I don't probably know that I will. I feel like there's a lot of mystery, a lot of intrigue, and a lot of really cool things that you can do with the escape room. And I'm not saying that I'm going to rush to the theater, but if it's out in theaters and I actually have some free time to go and check this out, I would probably go and see it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday night or anything like that, because it looks like it could be not necessarily a fun movie to check out, but just to almost see, kind of like in the Saw movies, you get the mystery and the intrigue of what's the puzzle that they have to solve to get out of it. You know, what's this room that they have to solve?
Yeah.
Like in the trailer, they showed the oven dial was the doorknob.
Yeah.
And they had to find how to turn that off. Otherwise, they were going to roast, and that's no fun for anybody.
Yeah.
So I definitely go and check it out, I think.
I mean, if that's written as smart as Saw was, then they got some good stuff on their hands. I just hope they don't rely on, like, really, these are, like, cool kills and not so much, like, smart, like, dialogue. You know what I mean? Or just like smart writing.
Right. No, I completely agree. You know? But I think it looks exciting.
You had mentioned Saw just a second ago. I'm wondering if Saw was like a precursor to all these escape room things. I don't know which came out first, if escape rooms were out or Saw the movie came out.
Saw came out in 2004.
Ish, yeah. Is it 2004?
2004, because I was a junior in college.
But I know that the popularity of escape rooms was just a few years
It's just now ramping up.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know that you could call it a precursor, but I bet somebody saw, whatever. And they thought, hey, you know, there's an idea in there let's create this for people in a safer environment, obviously, but let's charge them $50 to go and do that. And if they escape, awesome, we give them a free wristband. And if they don't, haha, too bad. I just took your $50, come back and try again.
Yeah, right.
And it's a genius idea. Like, escape rooms are brilliant. They're a lot of fun. And
yeah, so the difference that I saw in this trailer and the escape room movie that I had seen prior to this, that movie was confined to one room, whereas this one is obviously multiple rooms.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave me a cabin in the woods feel to it as I was watching it, because things were changing. And there were, if I remember correctly, Cabin in the Woods had like artificial environment as well.
Right. I can definitely see that. So maybe Cabin in the Woods unofficially was kind of the first shot at an escape room type situation.
Well, and I think this escape room also plays on each individual fear based on the environment they're in.
Sure. Oh, and the box they receive, possibly. Sure.
I think it's basing it off of each room is one person's experience
what they're scared
or fear.
Of the most.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. So, oh, God, there's going to be a fucking spider room, isn't there?
There might
That's
be.
your escape room.
So
crap.
We go from a room full of spiders to a room full of clowns.
Oh, yeah.
Game over.
Spider clowns.
Clowns. So
and then a possession room. And then
possession room. Why did this turn into the Greg escape room? Let's focus on all my fears. There better be a room of like being completely isolated and alone. All right, so that was Escape Room. We're going to swing over to one of Josh's favorite segments, and that is it's the news. It's the news, brother.
I'm thinking for 2019 we just start skipping the news. We just don't do the news anymore in 2019. Just no more.
Patrick just went techno. That was fantastic.
Yeah, who wants to go? You want to go first, Patrick?
I probably have the most.
We've also each said we have really shitty news tonight, so it doesn't really matter who goes first.
We said it must be like the boring time of the year for horror because I just really couldn't find anything this time. However, it has been announced that 4 of Peter Jackson's early movies are now being restored to 4K resolution by Weta Digital VFX team. And the movies are, and if you're fans of these, you should be excited about it, Bad Taste, Dead Alive, Meet the Feebles, and Heavenly Creatures.
Meet the Feebles is so fucking crazy.
That is the most bizarre thing I've seen.
So crazy. And there's like one place in town for the longest time you could get that movie, and that place is not here anymore. So
audiovisual.
Yep. I don't know where you can find that movie.
Greg, have you seen that movie?
Nope.
It's kind of like really gross, disgusting Muppets.
Yeah. It's like
this isn't that Italian movie that you watched where the guy was like cranking off with a jar of mayonnaise and a lobster. No.
There's similarities.
What movie was that?
You don't remember? He watched that for his. Was it the 80s?
It was the Marquis de Sade movie.
Oh my god!
And everything was based in the 80s, and it was some French thing where they all wore these puppet heads. And then he was sodomizing his jailer with a lobster that was smothered in butter.
Butter, that's what it was.
No, not butter. It was
it mayo?
Mayo. It was mayo.
That's what exactly I thought. I remember the mayonnaise and the lobster.
Yeah, it was bizarre. Man, it was bizarre. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple movies in there that I wouldn't mind seeing restored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think with that news, he said, I would dive back and I'd go back to my roots and make a horror film again. So
yeah,
I'd see a Peter Jackson horror film. I'd see.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Meet the Feebles is not a horror movie, but it is just bizarre as hell, and I encourage anybody to watch it.
All right, yeah, if we can get hands on it, I'll definitely take a look at that.
You want to keep going, or just want to?
No, that's my first one.
Okay, yeah. I almost have the one. So let's talk about reboots because they are coming. 3 that I've seen have been announced this week. So Legendary Entertainment is going to reboot the Toxic Avenger, which could be interesting. James Wan was in our news last week. He wants to not only tackle Batman, but he also wants to tackle Blade. And I would see a Blade, James Wan directed Blade film also. I'm just a fan of his. I haven't really seen a James Wan film that I've been like, that fucking sucked. I'm just a fan. I haven't seen Aquaman yet, though. I'm just a fan of James Wan. And I loved the Blade series when it first came out. They were great. So, and then Sci-Fi has cast and is starting in January. They are rebooting Critters. It has been 25 years since a Critters movie came out, and they made 4 of them. And so a new Critters movie is going to be coming soon as well. Sci-Fi is becoming the reboot captains of the world because they did Leprechaun Returns, and they have a couple other franchises they have their eye on, but Critters is the next one coming. So
you talked about that Leprechaun Returns. We did the trailer review of that, and supposedly there is some audio in there that sounds a lot like Jennifer Aniston.
Yes, so they found somebody that kind of looks like Jennifer Aniston,
but totally sounds like.
Yeah, it's an impersonator.
Yeah,
and so they used her to kind of tie the first Leprechaun movie and Leprechaun Returns together because Leprechaun Returns is supposed to be directly tied to the first Leprechaun movie. So, yeah, it's kind of neat.
It's kind of weird because I was watching the clip of her doing the impersonation. Looks nothing. I mean, like the person who was actually doing the impersonation doesn't really look like her, but totally sounds like her. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
Interesting. All right, so I've got one that's it's a movie that I'm excited to follow. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but I'm going to follow it until I get to see it. Guillermo del Toro produced Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark has set a release date.
Okay.
Summer of 2019. Be ready for August 9th. When that comes out.
Cool.
And I was checking out a little bit about the article in here. They have a synopsis. I don't know if you guys have read the synopsis at all.
I know I've been following it, but
sure.
Go ahead.
Synopsis says the film follows a group of young teens who must solve the mystery surrounding sudden and macabre deaths in their small town. That part turns me off a little bit, not so much that I'm not going to see it, because I remember reading this book when I was a kid, And I thought at least the illustrations were fucking terrifying.
There's 3 books.
There were 3 of them? They made 3?
Yeah.
I only read the first one.
I just bought them for Ryan.
Really?
So, yeah.
I might have to borrow this from you.
It's a box set.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's cool.
Nice. So I'm excited to check this out. They've got a list of cast here. I don't recognize any names in there, so that means nobody is safe.
That's awesome, though. I prefer it that way.
Absolutely.
I love the films that have no-name people in them and that you just know that nobody is safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
There was a couple trailers I was going to suggest for tonight that it ended up having people I knew, even though the movies look good.
Yeah.
But I stayed away from them because I prefer movies with people I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that kind of takes me out of it. All right. Back to me.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the Tremors franchise, you will be pleased to know that Michael Gross has signed on for Tremors 7.
Yeah.
Okay. He's bringing back his... I don't remember the name of the character now. Burt Gummer is the name of the character.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a big thing for fans of Tremor. But you got to realize Michael Gross is 70 years old and doing this. And he's still planning on kicking ass
He
in
has
this movie.
lived off this franchise.
Yeah. Between that and Family Ties.
It's crazy that they made 7 Tremor movies.
Yeah. On his Facebook page, he wrote, Tremor fans will be delighted to know that I've just agreed to the terms of a contract for a 7th film. My best estimate is that Burt Gummer will begin his hunt for the graboids and other nefarious forms of wildlife in the fall of 2019.
Nice.
Is Jamie Kennedy coming back for that?
That I don't know. I could check real quick.
I would love to see them bring back Kevin Bacon also. For real. What's he doing? So, but yeah, 7 Tremor movies, man. Like, you see the first Tremor movie and you go, this is terrible. And you go, there's no way they're going to make it more than one of these. And
they did.
7 is crazy.
Yeah.
Excellent. Is that all the news you've got, Patrick? Or you
I
got
actually have one more.
Yeah. Shoot, do it.
This one's from Bloody Disgusting. I'll rip through it pretty quick.
Do it.
There's an urban legend from several years ago referred to as the Russian sleep experiment that claims Soviet researchers had used this experimental stimulant back in the 1940s that kept people awake for 15 consecutive days and how it really screwed them up. While this is untrue, the legend surrounding it is still pretty damn creepy, and it's now getting its own movie. And it's called the Soviet Sleep Experiment. It'll be a psychological thriller based loosely upon the urban legend, and it will be a suspenseful story of a married research team who, under close watch of the Red Army, set out to study the effects of forced sleep deprivation on 4 patients locked inside an observation chamber for 30 days.
Have you read the urban legend or the stuff behind it? It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and the pictures, I mean, like, the people really went out of their way to provide photos and all sorts of stuff like that. And it wasn't just like a mental transformation, but also a physical transformation. Yeah. So the urban legend itself is pretty creepy.
Yeah. If you have not read it, you should go back and read it. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I mean, this could be one of those things that, you know, I hope they don't Slender Man the damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because it could be a really scary, creepy film if they don't fuck around.
If they do it right,
yeah,
that's the scary thing right there. Is are they going to do this right?
But I mean, then you go, Chris Kattan's been announced, so I mean,
I'm not as turned off by that. It sounds really weird, but I'm not as turned off by that as I would be normally.
Yeah,
only because I feel like some of those people could turn pretty dark pretty quick.
Yeah,
so I'm intrigued to see what Chris Kattan could come with in that.
Yeah.
So all right.
But, yep, that's all I got for news.
That's all you got for news. Yep. So that was the news segment. We're going to... No, I want to hear the techno version now. It's the news. Awesome. Josh is loving this.
No, I'm not.
All right. We are going to switch gears here and take a look at what we've been checking out here in the last couple weeks since we last were on the cast. I feel like I said last a lot right there. Last. What have we been watching? Anybody want to go first? Otherwise, I can jump on.
Go ahead, Greg.
I will take it. The other night, I actually had a few moments, which is weird because this last week has been absolutely hellacious for me. Emily and I sat down and we watched a Christmas movie. It was newly released from Netflix, starring Kurt Russell, called The Christmas Chronicles. I didn't know how to feel about this because Kurt Russell does not feel like a good Santa Claus character. I still maintain he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad.
Oh, that was rough.
It was interesting. You saw it?
No, I walked into Elizabeth and Emma watching it into the jail scene where he's playing the piano.
That did not need to be there.
And was like, this is fucking stupid. So I turned around and I left.
So it's quite possible you walked into the most stupid part of the movie and just equated that with the entire movie.
100%. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I give you that. On the movie on the whole, I was impressed with. I thought it was a really good rendition on a Christmas themed movie. Again, Kurt Russell was a little weird. He was a little edgy, but he made it work.
Did he kind of look robotic too? His Santa Claus looked a little bit like, just the look looked a little bit
like prosthetic.
Yeah, it looked really robotic to me.
I could see where you'd see that. The beard was weird.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was a little skinnier than he probably needed to be. Like I like the scene where they point out the picture of Santa and he's this jolly fat man, and somebody, I think he said that the advertisers add like 50 pounds or some comedic response. I feel like he should have been a little heftier.
Yeah, it was like Kurt Russell in Escape from New York.
Escape from the North Pole.
Yeah, plays Santa Claus. He was almost ripped.
Right, exactly.
Weird.
So it was good. I definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you are a big connoisseur of Christmas movies. Skip on the Hallmark ones. This one's a lot better than the Hallmark ones. So, Christmas Chronicles.
I had a movie that's been sitting on my shelf for quite a while. It starred Robin Williams, and it's tough for me to. It was really tough for me to want to watch this movie because of everything surrounding his death and everything else. It's hard for me to go back because then it makes me feel sad and everything else. The movie was called The Angriest Man in Brooklyn. It was his fourth to last movie. Had him, Peter Dinklage was in it. Mila Kunis was in it. And it was okay. Mm-hmm. It was okay. I think at some point he was just doing movies for the paycheck, and I think this was a paycheck movie.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I felt it had the ability to be a really meaningful movie, but once again, it was kind of a paycheck movie.
So my next question is, because I've seen a couple movies of his like that, and I feel like the story and the writing wasn't great, but he brought something to that helped elevate. And I'm wondering if that's what that was, if that was a similar situation.
I think the problem with this movie was the character was the angriest man in Brooklyn for 85% of the movie. Mm-hmm. So he didn't have any levels to play with. Okay. Until the end when he changed. So he just played angry the entire time.
Did Patrick just drop a spoiler?
No, it's 2014 movie.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm not concerned with that. But yeah, he was just angry. And when you play angry, when you don't play levels, then it's not interesting anymore.
Sure.
So
it's flat. Yeah.
I can give you that. Okay. Interesting.
I have a list. So are we kind of round robin here, or can I just go through my list really fast?
I legitimately have watched one thing in the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
I can do my next three, and then you can just pop off all of yours.
Go, Pat.
Hit them.
Yep.
The next one was Assassin's Creed, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
That bad?
I caught The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, A Midwinter's Tale, which is like a Christmas bonus to the season that is already in place. And it was pretty much like the rest of the series. So whatever your expectations are of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, it's going to be about the same expectation for this Midwinter's Tale. And then I watched a bunch of Crypt TV this past week.
Cool.
And the reason I wanted to bring that up in the what we've been watching is because in a few weeks, we're going to be covering, our topic is going to be Crypt TV. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the shows that are on there. We may review a series that's on there or a short film or something like that. But we will be talking about Crypt TV in an upcoming episode. And that's what I've got for what I've been watching.
Cool. Yeah. I'll bang through my list really fast. I've spent the last week trying to catch up on 2018. I fell quite a bit behind. I still have about 6-7 more movies I need to watch here before we do our top 10 show. But real quick, in no particular order, and Prime has been my go-to this week. They've all been on Amazon Prime. So I watched a film called Bad Samaritan, and that's a definite possible for my top 10. It's super good. That's on Prime. I would check that out for sure. the competition for that movie, for its spot, is a movie called Unsane. Unsane was really, really good. And Patrick watched that during his 30 days, right?
Yes, I did.
It's legit. It's really, really good. And it's not really horror as much as it's like psychological thriller.
Psychological thriller.
But that's Bad Samaritan also.
That was filmed on an iPhone.
Oh, really?
That entire movie was filmed on an iPhone.
Unsane was?
Yeah.
It's super good.
Okay.
You have no real direction as to where that movie wants to go until you get to the end of that movie. And then even at the end of that movie, you're like...
You're still not sure.
Yeah, you're like, that could have gone 100 different directions.
Right.
I watched a movie called Slice. It's got Chance the Rapper in it. Look, it could have been really bad. And there's movies like... I like to get at least one like horror comedy film on my top 10. And Slice has a definite chance on getting in there because it's about a group of pizza delivery guys who are getting knocked off when they're delivering pizzas to people's houses. And there's a whole like ghost thing around this town. It's a weird, it's a lot of fun though. You say Chance the Rapper and you're like, this is going to suck. Check out Slice on Amazon Prime. It's free and it's only an hour and 25 minutes and it goes really quick and it's a lot of fun. So Greg's looking at me like I'm an asshole. No. I'm telling you right now.
No. It sounds stupidly entertaining. Once you told me the premise, I feel like I would actually give that a shot.
You should go on Prime. Like I said, it's free. So you're not losing anything but an hour and 25 minutes. So
okay. So I'm getting an idea for a movie. Should I pitch it here?
Please.
So we should do basically that exact same thing, but instead of pizza delivery guys, we kidnap Jimmy John's delivery drivers and we call it Witch.
Yeah. The last Prime movie I watched was it's a French movie, but
the next Tusk has been bored.
It's a French movie, but it had no subtitles. It's all in English, so I don't know what's going on there. But it's a movie called The Night Eats the World, and it's a zombie film. So people go, I've seen enough of those. But it was a really interesting take on kind of the zombie genre, and it reminded me actually a lot of. When 28 Weeks Later came out, or 28 Days Later came out, only it's just not as fast. The pacing is not as fast. Actually, it's quite a bit slower, but it's really interesting. And I knew nothing about the movie, but the title kind of caught my eye. So I was like, what is this? So I gave that a shot too. Not a top 10 movie, but it's definitely a movie that if you don't mind kind of a slow pace zombie movie, it's actually really, really good. So check that out.
I want to pause you really quick because I just saw Maddy tagged me in a comment and I kind of want to see what it says. So Patrick, if you could enlighten us to her chagrin of what I just pitched.
I only got one more movie.
Oh, you do? Okay, hit it.
But it's cool. That's cool. I'll wait for Patrick to look up the comment. I'll fill time while he's searching through all the comments on our feed.
No, actually, I hadn't been scrolling down, and there's like a lot of comments here, so I'm reading them. So keep going.
Yeah, that's cool. The last film I saw was I caught a movie. I got off work early one day. I was like, this is the only chance I'm going to get to go see this movie. So I went and saw Possession of Hannah Grace.
Sure,
definitely got the autopsy of Jane Doe last shift reference that Patrick threw out last week. Definitely not a top 10 2018 movie. Definitely kind of bummed on it. I was expecting just off the trailers a lot more from that movie, and it fell. If you want to see that kind of movie, just go watch The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Sure,
it's a better version of that movie.
Okay,
so
I'll jump right on that.
Yeah.
All right, so
or don't. No.
So Maddy is on the live cast there, just making comments, and the one that she tagged you in, I'm not sure what it is in reference to.
Okay. I'm a little nervous.
It just says, no, absolutely not.
I'm going to say that's probably my pitch.
Oh, okay.
My pitch for Witch.
Sure.
Maddy, you have no imagination. This is gold.
So she's
$1 million idea.
She's saying no to the witch pitch.
Excellent. All right, so that is what we have been watching. We are going to shift gears once again and swing over. It is the holiday season, whether you like it or not.
I don't.
I'm not a fan of it either. However, I get to go to California in the next 3 days, so all y'all can suck it because I'm going to be chilling in SoCal. We are going to talk about some horror Christmas movies, some of the best ones that have been made. And I'm kind of interested to see what people come up with, because I have one, and that's what I'm going to hold on to.
You have one?
I could probably guess what it is, too.
Me too.
Can.
Yeah.
So you want to start?
Krampus.
Yeah, there it is.
Wow, that's not the one I was thinking.
That's what
What were you
I
thinking?
knew.
I thought you'd throw out, which is second on my list, which is Gremlins.
Yeah.
You know, it's been so long since I've seen Gremlins that I don't know that I can legitimately count that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to go back and rewatch that before I could, because there's a lot about it I don't remember.
Right.
So,
okay.
yeah, Krampus it's been the best horror Christmas movie that I've ever seen. The only other one that I can think of was the really crappy movie that we watched. I want to say it was last Christmas around this time. And it was the horror Home Alone, where
it's called Better Watch Out. It's on my list.
It's on my list.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. I was not a huge fan of that one. And I think it was just,
I
it was the
I did
kid.
too.
Yeah.
It was the kid that I didn't like.
You know what I loved about that movie? Since it's on my list, is it on your list?
It's on my list, yeah.
Yeah, because I watched Home Alone, because we're on that holiday kick right now at my house. We watched Home Alone the other night, and they do that paint can thing, and that paint can spot in that movie is just fantastic.
That is probably the best part of that film. And maybe I liked the film, but I was so turned off by that kid.
Yeah.
That it kind of ruined it for me, because I wanted to jump through the screen and just pummel that stupid boy.
Yeah, he was a little bit, he was a little much,
Yeah.
but you know.
So, Krampus was mine, and I just watched it the other night, and I forget every time how great the movie is. You know, it's not going to win an award or anything like that, but the time that they took and the practicality that they put into that movie, and just watching the behind the scenes is phenomenal. And you got Toni Collette in there from Hereditary, and Adam Scott is phenomenal. David Koechner, I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's a great cast, and what is it? MJ Anthony is the lead kid. I think he's a phenomenal actor. He was in one of my all-time favorite movies, Chef.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And I love that movie. I love what they did with it, because they took it to a dark side of Christmas.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a legitimate story.
Yeah.
So
I only have 4. So do you have a lot, Patrick?
No, I wanted to mention that Maddy just posted, we all better mention Santa's Sleigh.
Fuck.
starring Bill Goldberg.
If it's that one, I totally watch that. Yeah. Bill Goldberg is he played quite the Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Better than Kurt Russell's Santa, I would say. But
I think all Santas are better than Kurt Russell's Santas.
But was he as fit as Kurt Russell?
No. Yes. Sorry. My bad. Bill Goldberg. My fault.
Yeah,
Ooh.
he's pretty jacked. I'll bang through mine really quick.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. So I have a couple. So my list just came from movies that again, it's not a lot, but it just came from movies that I would watch. If there's going to be a horror film I'm going to watch during Christmas that's related to Christmas, these are the 4 that are like kind of be go-tos. Patrick already brought up, actually we've already brought up most of them, but that's okay. Gremlins is like a definite watch during the Christmas season. I love that movie. Black Christmas is another one that is a go-to if I want to watch a horror Christmas film. We talked about Krampus already. That was a great current, I guess, horror Christmas film. And then Better Watch Out was on there. So those are my 4. If I'm going to go watch Christmas horror films that I don't hunt them down. If I come across a new one, I might watch it. But if I'm just in the mood and I know these are on my shelf, I'll go to those. So
there just doesn't seem to be a lot in that genre.
There's
more than there should be.
Is there? Oh,
There's actually a ton of Christmas-based horror movies. It's just that when you try to fit that into the genre, they tend to make it as tacky as possible or as cliche as possible. So
Sure.
they're really bad movies.
yeah, I mean, the debate also was, what is a Christmas horror film? Like, is it on Christmas, or is it because like there's snow on the ground, or because like everybody says Die Hard is the Christmas movie, but it's on Christmas, but it's an action film that takes place on Christmas. So is it a Christmas movie though? Even Bruce Willis is like, Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, but anyway,
But a lot of people say it is.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's like a debate of what makes it a Christmas movie.
Well, it goes along the same lines as Nightmare Before Christmas. Is that a Christmas movie or is that a Halloween movie?
Yeah.
It could
There you
go,
go.
like that one can swing either way, and that's probably another. Okay, I have 2. Nightmare Before Christmas I'm adding onto my list.
well, there you go. On my list, then, we've already talked about Gremlins. We've already talked about Krampus. We've already talked about Better Watch Out. Those were my top 3. I want to add in there as my number 4, Black Christmas, the 1974 version, not the 2006 version.
Yep.
The remake was fine, but it just wasn't as good as the original, especially with the reveal of the brother, etc., etc. I just thought it was a really, really solid movie. There was a couple that we saw in the past that we did for our Christmas episodes. One was A Christmas Horror Story.
Yeah. Was that the anthology with William Shatner as the radio host?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
And then...
with the jacked Krampus.
Right. And then there was Holidays, which is the one that had shorts for every... not every holiday, but for a bunch of them.
That was the one where Kevin Smith did Halloween, right?
He did do Halloween, yeah.
Yes, and they had the Christmas short at the end of that one.
See, I don't remember that one.
I'm going to throw this one in there just because it's stupid. It is so awful that it hit my list, and that's Jack Frost.
Yeah.
You know, when you get raped by a snowman, come on.
Yeah.
That's got to be in your list. My honorable mention was Nightmare Before Christmas, because once again, is it a Christmas? Is it a Halloween? We don't know. But new this year is garnering a lot of attention. I don't think it's been released on DVD yet or on VOD, but it's called Anna and the Apocalypse.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a movie where it is a zombie apocalypse set at Christmas time, and it's also a horror comedy musical. So,
okay,
I will be interested to see this one when it is released to VOD or DVD.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my list.
Cool.
Quick in and quick out. Let's jump.
So I think we all said what Krampus is right there. I mean,
I think it's probably one of the better
Yeah.
Christmas horror movies that has ever been made.
Yeah, it's...
And granted, I haven't seen like
fun.
Black Christmas or
Yeah.
obviously this Anna and the Apocalypse. I'm not sure about, but it sounds interesting. But I just love everything that they did with Krampus. I thought it was fantastic.
If you go look up, though, all the Christmas horror films that have been made, it's a pretty long list.
Is it?
So, yeah.
Okay. I'll have to take a look at that list. So
and some really creative titles as well. So
very pun inspired, I assume.
Extremely pun inspired.
Like Santa's sleigh.
Right.
Yeah.
Not like his actual sleigh, but like he's killing people sleigh.
Right.
Like Slayer.
Yes.
Raining blood and snowflakes.
Yes.
Dancing gingerbread people who are carrying... I'm done. All right. I don't know.
That's all right. Let's let you
I don't know where I was going with that one. We are going to switch gears. I keep saying switching gears. I need to segue. We're going to segue. Haha. We are going to segue over to our review of the evening. We are going to jump back to the wonderful year of 2008 to talk about one of my all-time favorite horror movies, and that is The Strangers.
Look, this is a fluff cast. We've talked about this movie before, but we're going to do it again.
But we haven't reviewed it. We've all talked about how we've liked it, but we've never reviewed it. We never actually sat down and discussed the guts of it or what we enjoyed about it or anything like that. So while, yes, I would say it's a fluff cast in the sense of we threw it together at the last minute. I rewatched it today. You rewatched it today.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a movie that still holds our attention.
Yeah, it's an easy watch. When you've seen the movie so many times that you just know every beat of like you can look away and know exactly what's going on in the movie.
There was actually a couple things I caught this time I didn't remember.
Okay.
That I don't know if it's something that maybe I caught before, but I don't remember a couple of the things. So.
Cool. You got deets, Patrick?
I do have the deets. The Strangers 2008 available on Amazon Prime to stream, but you can also rent it on Vudu, iTunes, YouTube, and Google Play. It runs 1 hour and 25 minutes. A random invitation to a Halloween party leads what? No.
Halloween party?
What the hell is this?
Halloween party? Wait a second.
Some douchebag copied and pasted the wrong thing into his notes.
Do we need to hang on? I got it.
Oh, I was like, did I watch the wrong fucking movie?
I don't remember a Halloween party.
Me neither.
Strangers. No, it was. They were invited to a wedding.
There was a wedding,
and they were at a reception. And since you're going to do it, do you want to?
I will give the
Fontaine thing.
Oh, I can.
Yeah, you haven't done that in a while.
I know.
I've missed it.
What is this?
Shut up.
I'm trying to remember. This is the movie that you went into the penalty box for.
Yeah, I know.
Strangers?
When you started reading it, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Oh, that's that was that one.
Yeah,
it was that one. Yeah,
that was that one.
The one that was that. Yeah.
All right. There's two different ones. I'm going to do the long one. That's what she said.
Oh my god.
After returning from a wedding reception, a couple staying at an isolated vacation house receives a knock on the door in the mid-hours of the night. What ensues is a violent invasion by 3 strangers, their faces hidden behind masks. The couple finds himself in a violent struggle in which they go beyond what either of them thought capable in order to survive.
I think it's a terrible description of that movie.
Kind of.
Well, it's either that or a young couple staying in an isolated vacation home are terrorized by 3 unknown assailants.
That's better.
Probably, but the other one is more fun to say.
I gotcha.
So by vacation home.
Yeah, it's a cabin in the woods.
Right, but
it's a home that he owns, though.
It's a home that they own because they had the lines on the wall when the kids were growing up, the height marks.
Right.
Yeah.
So because that's what I kind of thought at
it's
first.
His parents' house. I'm pretty sure it's
probably.
Yeah.
But it could still be a vacation
family
home.
Vacation home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
IMDb score of 6.2.
Are we sure?
Yeah, I looked it up.
Okay.
These I do know because I thought that some of them were kind of low. IMDb is 6.2. The Metascore is 47. Rotten Tomatoes critics, 45%.
That's fucking horseshit.
Rotten Tomatoes audience, 47%. So,
Lord.
Yeah, it's just under average.
Yeah, I think that's where Maddy would sit. Those are the scores that Maddy would probably... Because she said straight up before we did this.
This is the thing. Go ahead.
She hated this movie, so she's glad she's not here, actually.
When she has also straight up said, whatever you guys like, I'm going to hate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Even if she likes it, she'll tell people that she hates it.
Yeah.
I guess everybody's entitled to their wrong opinion.
Yeah. Who wants to start?
Once again, this is a movie that I could go to pretty much any time and sit and enjoy. I saw it in the theater. It affected me then. It still affects me now. There's something about home invasion that just creeps me out.
Yeah.
So this is an effective movie for me pretty much any time. Mm-hmm. The acting in it is solid. I mean, Liv Tyler carries 80% of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's never a bad thing. But she did a phenomenal job, I felt, of expressing the fear, the anticipation. And not just that, but the emotions between her and her fiancé at the beginning that really set up tension between them then, that I think when we talk about this movie as The Strangers, it's on so many multiple levels of interpretation.
Yeah. Scott Speedman was unknown to me, too, when The Strangers came out. I had no idea who he was. So when I see these kinds of movies, I go, oh, well, Liv Tyler, that's a person that's going to be safe. That's the one thing we've talked about this, so I'm sorry for the repeat, but movies that have no names in it, in the horror genre, I don't like because you mark them as safe right out of the gate.
Right.
And it wasn't that way for The Strangers went a different way. It was you mark them as safe right out of the gate, and then they weren't at all. I'm a huge fan of this movie from the time it came out. I've talked about it since... forever. Again, Patrick kind of already said it. The cast, Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman, and a small cast too. I love that. I love that it's small cast. It's easy, one location. The pacing of the movie. I like the mass killers. I like the music that plays for the movie. I'm a huge fan of the music that plays for the movie. It's got 2 of my favorite shots ever. I stole them straight out of that movie for something that Greg and I made forever ago.
Describe the shots.
So the shot where she is in the kitchen taking the drink of water and smoking the cigarette after he's just left, and you see the tall guy come into the background.
Yep.
I love that shot. And then the shot, so we stole that one, straight up stole it. And then the shot where they are looking out the window, and it's a long shot of the girl standing in the street, and they're talking about why is she just standing there. I love that shot. Again, stole it right out of that movie.
Unfortunately, ours turned into Ray Charles at the end of the street.
It was not a good one. It was not a good shot, or it was not a good movie that we did. But the shots straight up just lifted 2 of my favorite shots in that whole movie. So, and I love the whole thing of like when they're asking about why are you doing this, and she gives them just that simple answer because you were home. That's fucking terrifying. That answer is really simple, but just scary. That shit can legit happen. I also love the cat and mouse aspect of the movie, that the fact that they could come into that house, and they showed it too. They weren't trying to hide it. They showed they could come in anytime they wanted to.
Yeah.
They could come in there and get them whenever they wanted to. They just kind of wanted to slap them around for an hour before they came in.
Yeah,
So,
because one of the interesting things I saw was they deliberately showed her locking the door, and then like 10 minutes later, the door just opens. So people are in there, in and out all the time, doing whatever the hell they want to.
Yeah. The one thing that I caught, though, was she had that line about how she's out of cigarettes. So she sends him out to get cigarettes for her, and then
she lights up a cigarette.
She smokes a cigarette. And I'm like, wait a second. Was that writing continuity error, or did she I'm on my last cigarette, I'm going to be out?
That's the way I assumed they wanted to interpret it, because the cigarette she picks up to light at that point was in the ashtray.
Yes.
As opposed to in the box.
But it was a full cigarette.
It was pretty damn close to being full, yeah.
Unless it was just a ploy to get him out of the house for a little while.
I don't think so, because she kept saying, let's talk about this. Let's talk about. I think she really wanted to talk about it.
So that kind of takes me to one of the points. Like, I will be the first to admit, I absolutely love this movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's not a perfect movie. There are some flaws in it. First off, and the one that kind of bugs me the most is, clearly there's a situation going on between our characters, Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman, where it appears Scott Speedman has proposed.
Right.
And she either said, hey, I need to think about it, or flat out said no.
Yeah.
Then that obviously causes an emotional rift between the two of them. Why does she still go to the cabin with him?
I think that's where they were staying.
That's a possibility.
And
she just has to endure the rest of their time together.
It wasn't like she wasn't like, I don't want to marry you, let's break up. It was I'm not. She clearly stated it in the cabin. I'm just not ready for that step yet. It doesn't mean I don't want to be with you. Okay. It just means right now marriage is just not on my mind.
Yeah, sure. and to show that's where they were staying, he had prepared the house with rose petals all over, and he had set it up for a meal and all this other stuff. So that was their plans, was to stay at the house.
Yeah, and maybe that was just one piece I missed. Because how I kind of interpreted it was they went to this wedding, and hey, this wedding happens to be close to my family's vacation house. Why don't we go spend the evening or the weekend there after this wedding?
Well, they were planning.
Probably going to propose.
They were planning a trip too. They were going to go out of town, and he made that comment about, I don't think we should be taking a road trip at this moment in time.
Maybe I need to go back and rewatch that.
But what asshole proposes at a wedding? What dickhead does that in a parking lot? When your girlfriend or whatever she was at the time was clearly a few drinks deep as well. It's just kind of like, that was kind of weird to me.
Yeah, if you're going to prepare this house with rose petals and all this romantic candles and everything else, wait till after and you get back and she walks in and, oh my gosh, this is beautiful, blah, 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 pop the question.
Yeah. Unless it was one of those moments where it's just like, I have to do this. I can't wait any longer. It needs to happen right now. Yeah. We're at a wedding and I don't even care.
Oh, what else you
I love movies that open with the end.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this one does with the I don't want to say Mormon guys because they're much younger than what Mormons would go out with, but they're evangelical youth heading out to share the gospel. And it starts with them entering the house and it ends with them entering the house.
Yeah.
And I really like when movies do that because it makes you go, okay, what kind of ride am I in for at this point?
There's that part at the end where those kids are walking down the street and the truck drives by them.
Right.
And she gets out and she's like, can I have one of those? And he's like, are you a sinner? She's like, sometimes. I loved that part too.
But then they also say something else, which I'm trying to read into maybe too much. One of them says, because you can't tell which woman says it, it'll be easier next time.
Yeah.
And does that mean that they've got this Christian material now and their sins are forgiven, so now I don't have to worry about it? Or is it easier next time because they've just done it?
So, it makes you go, okay, was this the first time they've done this?
Right.
So that was kind of I don't want to say that was a practice, but but that was the first time, so it took them a little bit to kind of pull the trigger and get into it. Also, the Stranger sequel was talked about in 2008. So that also could have been a line that was dropped just to set up
the sequel.
What was supposed to be the next one.
Sure.
That just...
I wonder why it took 10 years to happen, though.
It was a script issue.
Really?
Yeah, it was a script issue and a director issue, too.
I would have liked that they cast the same people as the Gunny Sack Man and Dollface and Betty Boop. I don't know what their actual character names are.
And Liv Tyler was supposed to, she was in the original sequel. Her part was...
So she would have survived.
Well, that was a question I had, because at the end she gasps and wakes back up when the young man comes up to her and touches her. And I didn't know if it was that like last gasp die or last gasp I'm alive.
Yeah, so she was supposed to be in the sequel where she would have been the opening kill, basically. That she survived the first one, and her character opens the sequel and
that she's
killed.
Been spending the last 10 years preparing, working out, learning guns.
No, yeah, right. The Laurie Strode. But yeah, that just was a sequel that never came to be. So
the biggest thing for me and why I love this movie, the story is enjoyable. I like you said, I love the cat and mouse part of it. I love the fact that there literally is no safe area in the general vicinity that they can escape to without one of these three invaders just knowing their every move. I think it takes a lot of the safety out for the audience, because you never know when anything is going to happen. It's very much like Last Shift, where things pop out and you don't expect them because you don't know what's safe and what's not. The biggest thing for me and why I love this movie is the cinematography. That shot, the kitchen shot, is one of the coolest shots.
Yeah, it's great.
Ever. There's just so many other little bits and pieces. Like, I love the setup where one of the two of them was sitting in the bedroom with the shotgun or the rifle.
That was Scott Speedman.
It was Scott Speedman because he killed his friend.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Okay, the setup for that, where it's just kind of holding on him while you can hear the footsteps. That was the second problem that I had with this movie. Why would somebody enter a house and not announce themselves if they were?
Because then he wouldn't get shot in the face.
I know you have to suspend disbelief, but that's a difficult thing for me to get past. Because
I think part of it that he didn't announce him walking in is because he was just outside and his car just got smashed.
Yeah. Sure.
And so he's like, what's going on? And I think he was being, then he walked past his friend's car that was totally destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he's walking in just being really cautious.
Yeah. Sure.
Either way. But that may just be a vehicle.
That's true.
Talking about the cinematography, though, that movie, the nice thing about that movie, too, is that camera is always moving. It's always moving.
That was a trivia point that I wrote down, that the entire movie was handheld.
Yeah, it's smooth.
Yeah. There was a couple times
moving and stuff.
Yeah, there was a couple times a little bit too much, but it was always moving. Yeah.
I like that too. Mm-hmm. What else you got?
I talked about some things that I didn't see the first time that I saw this time, because I always had thought this was a random place that they ended up at, because she does say, we came here because you were home.
Yeah.
In the parking lot, when he goes to propose to her, you see blurred in the background, you can hear it, the truck pull up over his shoulder and come to a complete stop.
Is that for fucking real? Their truck?
It sounds exactly like it, and it's blurred so much I can't say yes for sure. But I don't understand why they would have used a cut where a truck pulls up and stops.
Right. Yeah, that would.
I mean, if that's the case, that really happened, I'm going to go back A and watch it again, and B, that's a nice little setup.
I thought it was a nice setup as well, because then it was like, okay, we followed you home and you answered the door.
So then does that make it because they answered the door that they picked on them? Or that's weird to me, because all of a sudden you're out and driving. It's like, oh, hey, look, there's somebody in the parking lot, and now he's down on one knee and proposing. Let's go kill them.
But if you listen to the very, very start of the movie, you hear the truck in the background. It's just a sound effect over the credits.
Right.
So I'm thinking it was set up that they were out cruising looking for someone who was going to get in their car, leave, and go somewhere. Mm-hmm. Which kind of then changed my attitude towards the movie as I watched it today, thinking before this was a random act of violence. Mm-hmm. Now it seemed very planned out.
Okay.
They said, okay, we're going to follow someone home. And that's why we're going to kill them, because they're home.
Yeah.
So it kind of took some of the creepiness out of it for me.
Okay.
Thinking that the random act of violence is more creepy than a very planned.
Yeah. But it still ramps up a lot of the scare factor. I mean, I feel like there's a difference between creepy and true scare factor. And if that's the case, where they found these people randomly, decided to follow them home, then they made that conscious decision that these people are going to die so long as they answer their door.
Right.
Or even if they don't answer their door, I will never know that.
Yeah. And Maddy says, and that's why you don't ever answer your door.
Fact. Absolute fact.
Right. They had great ways of providing tension.
Yes.
In this movie.
I agree.
And a lot of it is sound driven, especially when the record player is skipping over and over and over at the super loud volume because you don't know what's going on elsewhere in this house. You can't hear anybody moving in this house.
Right.
So I thought that was handled really, really well.
Yeah. I want to really quick before we wrap too, touch on Pray at Night because we all three saw that too.
Yep.
And just kind of the transition or the differences, I guess. I was one of the very few people that enjoyed The Strangers Pray at Night. The only thing for me that Pray at Night lost that The Strangers had was the cat and mouse aspect of it. It lost the psychological part of it.
Right.
The psychological part was gone because that was a big part of The Strangers was like the whole psychological aspect of it. And The Strangers Pray at Night was just more brutal.
They showed the strangers a lot more in Pray at Night.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as, I agree with you, it wasn't set up to build the tension as much as the first one had been. And it is more brutal. They were more methodical about what they were doing instead of messing with their minds.
Yeah.
I felt like it went more from like tension building home invasion to more slasher.
Yeah, that was definitely it. Yeah. So that's where the only place that it lost it for me was now they could have changed that because they know that they'd already done that note. Right. And they're trying to
evolve,
show that these guys can be more, I guess, brutal in their killing. That they didn't want to, swat at them for an hour and a half. They wanted to catch them and kill them kind of thing. But I did like that the family that was in Pray at Night fought back, which is what Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler did not do.
Right.
Was fight back.
Yeah. Speedman tried to, but once you blow off your friend's face, it's kind of hard to do it after
to recover from that.
Yeah. Yeah. And just a reminder, Pray at Night is still a 2018 movie, so no spoilers. However, I felt what they lacked. No, I'm jumping back to one of your comments, actually, is that you felt they were trying to inject something new, but they didn't go far enough, in my opinion.
Okay.
That if they're not going to do the tension building and they feel more comfortable in what they're doing, then they really need to introduce something new for these characters in order to make this movie separate.
Right.
Or different from the first movie.
What would that look like, though?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that I have an answer for that.
I feel like I enjoyed Pray at Night on its own. I don't know that I enjoyed it as much as a Strangers sequel.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
He hit it on the note. I was going to say that do not watch Pray at Night directly after you watch The Strangers because you will fucking hate it. If you watch Pray at Night as a standalone film that's really just connected because of
the name,
the killers. If you watch it standalone, it holds up a lot better. It'll be way better.
It holds a little bit more water. Yeah. And I feel like it would have done better had it come out maybe a couple years instead of a decade after the original had come out. You lose a little bit, and especially because of what The Strangers is. I mean, for me, it's a horror icon. And I feel like if you're going to do sequels with horror movies, you have to at least hit the level of the first one.
Yeah.
Or just slightly below. You can't come in like drastically underneath. And that was the one thing that scared me about going and seeing Pray at Night was they're either going to do fairly decent with this or they're going to screw this up like a mother.
Right. I don't think they screwed it up.
And I never said that they did screw it up. There were a couple parts in there that I wasn't crazy about. And I think we talked about this before the cast had started, was I didn't like the area that they had to work with. Because to me, the confinement and the isolation really helps build that tension like it did in the first one, where you're walking out in the middle of the open and they might have the truck or they might have eyes on you, but 3 people can't have eyes on you and be able to stop you from running in all directions.
Yeah.
So it loses a little bit of that luster for me. Now, I'm not saying that it was bad because there were still some phenomenal shots in there. The shot where the kid is hiding in the pipe
Yeah.
was a great shot.
The swimming pool is a fantastic.
The swimming
that
pool
kill's
sequence
awesome.
was the best sequence of that entire movie. I also liked, I can't think of her name now. I don't remember the actress's name or her character name, but the gal who played in Mad Men.
Christina Hendricks.
Thank you. I thought she had a great role in there, and I don't know that I can say anymore.
No, you can't, because
It's 2018.
but you're sharing. I'm sure that you have the same thought that I do on that.
Yeah, we'll have to chat after the cast on that one.
Yeah.
I feel like it's good. Again, it doesn't hold to as a straight sequel, but as a standalone, it's
Now, the other thing I loved about Pray at Night that, again, not a lot of people liked it was the fact that it was driven by that 80s soundtrack. That all of a sudden he loved to kill to 80s music. I was a fan. Now, it kind of took off, like the Stranger Things show kind of started that trend. But the fact that he liked to kill to 80s music was just, I mean, come on. It was fun.
I don't know that Stranger Things started that. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy had some great 70s and
That's
80s
true.
music in
You're
there.
right.
And
You're right.
I just think there's some songs from that era that just, it's one of those things where you play the opposites.
Yeah.
And there's songs that just totally fit right.
juxtaposition.
I mean, the trailer that played the Tiffany song, I think we're alone
that was
now.
really good.
I mean, it just fit. And it was, so I mean, I like that kind of stuff. So music and horror, just for me, yeah.
So I thought this was actually going to be a fluff cast, but we are running at an hour 7 right now.
Okay, cool.
However, I've got a few things that I want to jump back on because I have a question about.
Sure.
Cool.
They remove their masks,
At the end of The Strangers,
but they don't show their faces.
Right.
And I thought that was just a really nice touch.
Yeah.
That even, we haven't seen their faces this entire time. And you know what? I'm going to tease you. I'm going to put it down. You're still not going to see our face. It's like maybe a glimpse at a profile and that's it. So you never actually see them. I thought that was a really, really great
You
touch.
do see them in Strangers Pray at Night, but they're different actors.
They're different actors.
True, and that was one thing that I kind of fault them for doing, because if you're going to show me a killer in a mask, don't take off the mask, because then I'm going to personalize with the killer. Once I see their face, then I have an identity. I know this person. I feel like I know this person a little bit more, and they're not so much as terrifying a killer, I guess.
You see Michael Myers' face at the end of Halloween and at the beginning of the new Halloween.
That is true.
Just saying.
Yeah.
That is true.
Sorry.
But still, it's one of those things where, like, I reference back all the time to American Horror Story Freak Show.
Yeah.
When they showed the backstory of the clown, and it completely destroyed his character.
For the rest of it. Yep.
Destroyed it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because you lost the myth.
Exactly.
The legend.
Exactly. He wasn't terrifying anymore.
Right.
I now feel bad for this character, and he's killing, and it's
They
like,
humanized him.
maybe not personalized, humanized.
Yeah.
I was looking for.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad that they did that.
All right, before we get to ranking this,
Yeah.
I've got some trivia.
Cool.
The song Mama Tried, which is heard several times during the film,
Yes.
is actually a 1968 hit by Merle Haggard and The Strangers.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
So
Clever.
They did some research on
Yeah.
this. Supposedly, this was shot in chronological order,
Really?
which I find it hard to completely believe because the interior was shot on a sound set while the
Yes.
exterior was out at a farm. So when they say it was shot in chronological order, I wonder if it was like all the outside was in chronological and then all the inside was chronological.
Sure.
But supposedly shot in chronological order.
Interesting.
I just said the interior shots were done on a soundstage.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to budget, how much was this movie made for?
I'm going to say 25 to 28 mil.
5, 6, 7.
Wow. Kind of go in the middle here. $10 million.
There you go.
And it grossed $82 million. So
This is
they
one of
made
those movies,
a
yeah,
tidy profit on
yeah,
this movie.
absolutely.
And I don't care if you're like on that 47% whatever. I think you're wrong.
I had scanned through the comments and the rankings just because I wanted to see what that, and there was like a bunch of 1s, a bunch of 2s and 4s and all that. And
Yeah.
it's like, am I the idiot here? Because I enjoyed that movie.
It's not everybody's cup of tea. So,
I guess not.
some people go, all the way to the left on horror and they want to
Right.
see the extreme, it's the Maddy horror. And then, everybody else goes a little bit too far to the right. And Strangers right is the middle. But it's just not everybody's cup of tea.
That's fine.
So,
Yeah. And
fine.
I don't care if you dislike me or lose respect for me. I like what I like, and I like that movie a lot.
Well, and
so.
this is a very specific subgenre movie.
Yeah.
In which it's home invasion.
Right.
And if there was ball removal in the movie, then it might have been Maddie's cup of tea. But she's still on.
Yeah, she's still on. We'll see if she responds to that one.
But I mean, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
So.
Right.
All right, so let's go ahead and score this thing.
All right. So we score on. Go ahead, Patrick. I'm sorry.
No, if you want to do it, go right ahead.
I don't want to do it. Go ahead.
Okay, we score on a gore factor, we score on a scary factor, and then the overall ranking. So, what is your gore score?
I'm not going to give it a score really for gore because it doesn't really exist in this movie to the end. And so I'm not going to give it a score for gore.
It is minimal. I will probably give it a 2 for the sake of what happens at the end. Also, the guy who loses his face.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So I'll give it a 2.
Yeah, I would probably go 1 or 2.
Yeah.
It's pretty low in this one.
Yeah.
It's not much you wouldn't see in anything else.
Yeah. It's my Friday night.
Scary factor.
You know what?
Now,
It's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do we do the scary factor on how we perceive it now or how we perceived it when we very first saw it?
It was never scary in watching that movie. It was always scary knowing that this shit could happen. Mm-hmm. And the stuff they play at the beginning of that movie about how many cases of or how many crimes are committed in the United States every year.
Right.
That's scary. But I mean, you know, I'll right the middle and put a 5 down.
So the realism of what could actually happen with that is more scary than the actual movie.
Yeah.
I give you that. I'd probably give it a 6, maybe a 7 based on the first time that I watched it for the fact that, yeah, this is terrifying because it could actually happen. And there were a couple pretty terrifying shots in there. So I would give it probably a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. 6 or 7. It is definitely a movie that if I watched at night, I would end up walking around the house making sure things are locked up.
Would you be praying at night?
I wouldn't be praying at night, no. But I'd make sure that the windows are locked, the patio doors are locked, the front door is locked, you know, all that
Nail
kind
some
of stuff.
2x4s over the doors.
No, I wouldn't quite go that far. Wouldn't quite go that far. So let's give it an overall score.
I love this movie, and I would tell everybody to go see this movie if they haven't. So I give it an 8.
I lose respect for me if you want. I give it a 9. I absolutely love this movie.
Yeah, I give it an 8 myself. So we all really enjoy this one.
Absolutely.
Just real quick, what is the overall really fast? Pray at night.
7.
I would say 6.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to sit. 7.
It's worth a watch. Yeah. Again, don't hold it too high.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't watch it directly after The Strangers and you'll be fine.
Hold it as a separate movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, that was our review of 2008's The Strangers. We are going to wrap up the cast here with some plugs, unless we have something else that I missed.
I don't think so, no.
No,
Nope.
we're plugging. Let's plug. Yep. Josh, what do you got?
I'm stealing Maddie's tonight because she's not here, and you know my plug is like a year away. So, and I got made fun of last week for doing it. So, Maddie's plug: Screenbox, $4.99 a month. I think it's $4.99 a month. Screenbox.com. They have a ton of content on there. Super cheap for horror fans that are looking, I guess, for something different outside of the Netflix and the Primes. Go check out Screenbox.
Absolutely. My name is Greg the Movie Guy, and I am the best movie reviewer that you have never heard of. I write movie reviews with a positive spin over at gregthemovieguy.com. I am still silent, and I apologize. However, I am going to be hitting it back hard. I've got 3 movies ready to go. I just need to drop them at some point. They are Bohemian Rhapsody. They are a movie that I can't think of off the top of my head. And they are... No, our church went and saw a movie recently, and I'm trying to remember what the heck it was. The Grinch. We went and saw The Grinch. That's what it was. So I have The Grinch, and I have The Christmas Chronicles ready to be written and posted. That'll happen before the end of the year. I do promise that. Work has been a little hefty, and I have not been able to find time to do the things that I love. So keep with me. Hang in there. I promise I'll be back. That's gregthemovieguy.com.
If you are a fan of the Midnight FrightCast, and we know that you are, make sure that you head on over to iTunes or whatever platform you are listening to this podcast on and rate and review us. That gets us up higher in the rankings. We get more subscriptions, and hopefully we can bring you...
Joy.
I was going to say better and more content over
and joy.
As we... Which, shut up. My God. If you are watching us on Facebook, make sure that you go out and subscribe to the podcast itself. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, and many, many, many more. Hey, guys, you know what?
What?
We've got a Patreon account.
Holy shit.
No doubt. We're like joining like the modern world right now. So, yeah, you know what? We've got some expenses. We've got to pay for some hosting. We got to pay for some domain names. We got to pay for new microphones because sometimes I just think we sound crappy.
I love my microphone.
And Greg is making love to his microphone.
This is weird.
So yeah, if you want to help us, if you're a big fan of the FrightCast, jump on over to the Patreon account. And hey, we're not asking for much. We've got tiers set up at $1 a month, $3 a month, and $5 a month.
Yeah.
And those are tiers like levels, not like crying tears.
No, those are me crying. Those are me crying because having to set all this stuff up. Hey, but check us out online as well. You can find us on Twitter at @MFrightCast. You can join the conversation on our Facebook group, Midnight FrightCast. We're also on Instagram. And so make sure that you share, and share some more and post it on your walls and tell your friends. And then also make sure that you check out our films at midnightfrightfilms.com. We also have a YouTube channel, Midnight Fright Films. We've got some things there, and hopefully you'll be seeing some new content fairly soon.
Hopefully.
As we all knock on wood.
Yeah.
And get our 2019 on.
Boom.
Yeah. Real quick before we wrap up, I believe the next cast we do, and you all can correct me if I'm wrong, the next cast we do is going to be our top 10 2018 horror films. Go on FrightCast, go on the Midnight Frights page, drop your top 10, and let us see what you guys thought of the 2018 horror films, and maybe we'll read a couple out loud on the next cast.
We will read a couple out loud on cast.
For
Absolutely, because
So,
we need content to talk about.
Also, let us know what you're looking forward to in 2019, and we'll drop those as well.
Absolutely. All right. It has been episode number 45 of the Midnight Fright Cast from Josh, from Patrick, from she's not here, Maddy, and from myself, Greg the Movie Guy, the Doctor of Filmonomics. We wish you a pleasant evening. We wish you all and your families and your friends a Merry Christmas and joy. We wish you joy. Patrick, I wish you a lot of joy.
Oh, God, you just are so irritating.
Aren't you glad I'm back at the studio? Because now you can't just hang up on me.
I, by God, am glad you are back in the studio.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. We'll see you on the 30th, so I'll wish you a Happy New Year there, too. Have a good night, everybody.